The challenge really comes in the when the characters first meet, getting them to have the right chemistry, the right rhythm, all of that. And so I feel like I was able to get that pretty quickly with them, and then everything else, just kind of fell in place. Mostly because I really enjoyed writing the story. So other than the fact that I'm still trying to figure out what is the secret behind the ghost ship, the whole time I'm writing it, what is the secret? Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I think Detective Braden was just about as heroic as any character I've written. I really loved him.
We'll talk about this and much more today. Welcome to a Writer's Day podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to Writer's Day podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. I started this podcast for you, folks who want to listen to amazing, best-selling authors like my guest today, talk about their newest books, the writing process, and everything. And so I also like to talk about the writing process too. And so that's why I started this podcast way back in 2019. And I can't believe I'm in my 7th season and it's been so much fun. So if you like today's episode, please be sure and subscribe over at YouTube, follow me on Spotify, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about today's episode. And head over to artbyruth.com today to sign up for my newsletter, where you can learn more about my upcoming releases. My latest book, A Shadow of Hope, just released. And then I'll have an upcoming book 3 in my Desert Shadow Suspense series. So sign up for my newsletter. I give away a book every month. So head to artbyruth.com today. Okay, let's get going. Elizabeth Goddard is back with me today. That's right, the USA Today best-selling author, and she's here to talk about the last book in the Hidden Bay series, Deadly Currents. So you know the drill. Grab your favorite beverage, a comfortable chair, kick back and relax as we listen to Elizabeth Goddard talk about her new book. Hey everyone, welcome back to Writer's Day. I'm so excited to have author Elizabeth Goddard with me again today. Welcome back, Elizabeth.
It's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Sure, of course. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk with you about your amazing books. Why don't you tell us what you've been up to so far in 2026?
Can you believe that we're already in April? Oh my God.
I know, it's so wild.
I'm like, what? It'll be Christmas again before you know it. I don't know. Time flies it just flies too fast anymore for me, for my taste. Well, I am busy juggling writing as usual. I have edits that I have to turn in tomorrow for book 2 in a new series that starts in August. And then I have galleys on book 1 that back and forth. And I need to start writing book 3. And I'm also promoting book 3 in Hidden Bay, which is what we're talking about today, Deadly Currents. And I have been, my son is in Special Olympics swimming. And just been busy with that, gearing up for an event in a couple of weeks. So, a little personal, a lot of writing, and and I'm so excited that finally here in Washington, we're starting to see more blue skies and sunshiny days than rainy days. And I am so thrilled about the sunshine. It makes me wonder if I might have depressive disorder. How people when the skies are too gray and it's too rainy, they get depressed. I'm like, I'm just so excited about the sunshine. Maybe I fall in that category.
That's true. I think it's called SAD,
Yeah,
seasonal
yeah. Seasonal
affective.
affective disorder. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yep.
Oh, well, good. I'm glad you all are finally getting some sunshine. We've
Yes.
had some warmer temperatures in early summer over here in Phoenix. So, yeah, send some rain our way.
Right. It's always something, right? It's either too hot or it's too cold or it's too rainy or, the grass is always greener on the other side. No, I love the weather here. I'm just ready for some beautiful days so I can get outside. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, wonderful. Well, that's great. Wow, it sounds like you are busy, especially writing tremendously. And have you noticed over the years if your writing process has changed at all?
I think it has. It's probably become more chaotic than it was. You'd expect all the experience to lead me to have, know exactly what I'm doing all the time. No, there's a rhythm to it, but when I first started out, I was writing for Heart Song Presents and then Love Inspired Suspense, and they require a chapter outline and a synopsis, that kind of thing. And so I think I've shifted more from being a plotter to being a pantser.
Mm.
So that's really a huge change. And now I mean, I can barely write an outline. If I had to write an outline, I don't know what I'd do, but
So
maybe
it's
I'd
more
write
like,
it and then the book would be completely different. How about that?
yeah, that happens to me a lot. I start off with a really nice outline. I use Trello and I have it all, each chapter with three scenes and everything. And then I go back later and I look at that outline and I'm like, wow, it's totally different.
Right, right. That's why I just kind of like, why bother? Because I really feel like I can't know the story. I can't know the characters or anything till I actually start living in that world.
That's true. And sometimes a headline from the news will change the way that my story's going. I had an idea for this new thriller that I'm writing. And then I saw a cold case from a long, long time ago up by the Navajo Nation was put back in the forefront because they, discovered some more clues and everything of a missing girl. And that just got my mind going. I thought, what if a closed case, gets reopened because some new information was found. And so I just thought, oh, I'm going to go in that direction now. So it can be little things like that, or a movie, or even a song, that comes out. And before you know it, your story's heading in a totally different direction.
I think that that's really how I write too. But on the other hand, that's a slippery slope, right? Because there's so many directions, right? So
Yeah.
you have to land on something. And sometimes I'm like, oh, what do I do next? But kind of have to land on a certain way. But that's why I avoid outlines because it's going to change so much. And I mean, yes, I
Mm.
have a loose idea in my head. I have to have that to go forward, but the how and the details that I of getting there are going to change so much that I just don't bother with an outline.
Well, with your Hidden Base series, and we're going to talk about your new book in a few
Mhm.
minutes, is it shared characters and the shared universe, or is it just like the shared universe and brand new characters?
Um, let me see if I can. I didn't have enough coffee this morning. I think I didn't wrap my mind around that question. No, each book has a hero and a heroine, and they all and they meet the next book's characters in the first book, let's say. And then so each book has its own set of
Okay.
characters. However, there's cameos and the other characters kind of help them or kind of show up to guide them along the way, that kind of thing. So Hidden Bay is on the Washington coast, and it's kind of set around a what I call a storm watching lodge, but it's just a lodge where tourists and people come to watch the storms coming in, the winter storms coming in off the coast, which I had read about that. We were talking about ideas that you come. I'd read about that in a regional magazine, and I just thought, wow, that just sounds awesome, and it sounds so beautiful. And I live an hour from the coast, and I already know how amazing it is, and I love the sound of the waves crashing against the rocks. And so I just landed there with a brand new series. And I created everything's fictional, but based on like the lodge is based on a real lodge. But it's easier if you make it fictional. You can do your own stuff, right?
Current book, a character from the first book came to mind, and I thought maybe I should bring him kind of back for a cameo, like you said. So I wasn't sure if you did that as well, those kinds
Yeah,
of
yeah,
cameos and stuff.
I do, and especially the same series that yeah the characters are going to show up a lot. Like in book one, I have Hawk Beckett, and then Remy has friends, and then those friends show up in Joe is in the first book, and she's the main hero in the second book, and on like that. But separate series, I will sometimes have cameos of characters from other series, if that makes sense, because they're
Hmm.
all in the same universe kind of thing. Like I have a brand new series starting in August called Mercy Ridge, and in book one, I have a character from my Missing in Alaska series coming to be the main heroine there. And so there's a little bit of reference back to her experience in Cold Light of Day. So, it is fun for readers
Hmm.
if they've read all the books, right? And I consider those to be kind of like Easter eggs sometimes,
Hmm.
I'll just kind of toss it in and either if right, you'll read it and you'll go, oh, I'm so glad to see this character again, that kind of thing. And then other readers can just read it and not know about it and be okay with it.
I love that. I think that's so neat when authors do that, and I love that you do that for your stories. It is neat for the readers to see someone, a name again, and be taken back to another series, and I think that shows you really care about your readers. I love that. Well, let's talk about your newest book, Deadly Currents, in the Hidden Bay series. Tell us about this story.
All right, this one is book three. It's the last book, and for my proposals, I always have the first book is probably I've got more information on that when I send it to my editor, but then the other two books are more just shorter blurbs, and so I had a blurb for book three, and I stuck with that, yes, but by the time I got to book three, there was questions that had kind of arisen with the first two books, and I just decided I wanted to answer those. And like for instance, in book one, Storm Warning, I had put kind of like I just dropped in a little thing about a ghost ship, because we're talking about, foggy coast, and it's just a community where there's legends and lore and, maritime stuff. And so it just seemed like a ghost ship would fit. And so I had a photographer take a picture of one just, out there. And so there's a legend surrounding the Spectre's Bounty. And so that was just kind of a fun detail I added. But by book three, I'm like, hey, I want to know what that ghost ship is about. So I did ask my editor about that, and she was all on board with that. And then another character kind of showed up that I hadn't planned on emerged. Her name was Evelyn Monroe, and she kind of facilitates for people to come to Hidden Bay and, hide from somebody that's maybe chasing them down, that kind of thing. And so, like, who is she? What is her story? So these are a couple of things that I wanted to answer in Deadly Currents. And so we met Detective Braden Sanders in book two, Perilous Tides. He's a side character there that helps, and then he is the main hero in book three. And then readers will be introduced to a new character, Cressida Dane, and she is finishing her father's book. He was a maritime historian working on a book about shipwrecks and ghost ships, and he died. And so she is trying to finish his book. She's a writer too, an investigative journalist, so she's kind of taken time off, and she feels like finishing his book will keep, just bring her closer to him. She just, keep her connected because he's gone. And so she comes to Hidden Bay to finish the last book in, research about the last book in the book. And that's the Spectre's Bounty. And as soon as she arrives in the bay, she's attacked and left for dead. So we just kind of start right off from there. And it's just full of intrigue and got all kinds of fun character. Like I have liveaboard pirates in the Hidden Bay, and just
Mm.
I just had a lot of fun with it, right? Trying to throw a lot of color into it and fun characters and some surprise twists, which I love to do.
Oh, that is great. I love those ghost ship folklore stories. We lived on the coast of North Carolina, pretty close to the, Cape, all the capes and
Hmm.
everything with all the
Yep.
lighthouses and everything. And
Yep.
we would always hear about these mysteries, those maritime mysteries and the ghost ships that were found out there. And oh, that sounds so wonderful. So you must have had a blast though, creating this mythology around this, ship. Was that fun?
Yes, and I have to admit this is probably my one of my favorite books I've written, just because I was like I was brainstorming with some of my friends, about the story, and it just felt right to bring in, I'd asked about the ghost ship in the beginning of the series, and I'm like, I really want to do a ghost ship, and they're like, do it, do it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be, am I writing out of my lane if I do, but when I brought it up to my editor, she was just all on board. Yeah, we need to get these answers. And I mean, it's not it's not a supernatural thing because, ghost ships are basically just derelict vessels and we don't know what happened to their crew or, they're just floating out there. So there's always mystery behind that. And there's all kinds of stories that don't have answers. So I really loved exploring that. And I feel like, at least I've heard from readers that they were just not expecting the twist at the end, which I love
Mm.
that, like in a good way, like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but everything's planted there, you have to plant everything. It's there, but that's the kind of story I love to write, just to throw people off at the end. I live
Yeah.
for reading that kind of story and I live for writing that kind of story.
Yeah, you're leading them along, but it's up to you how you want it to end. So they have
Yes,
to come along to find out.
right. And I was actually trying to fit, I was actually learning, I guess you could say learning right along with the reader. I'm learning as I'm writing. I'm writing and just kind of living in the story vicariously through my characters and trying to figure out about the ghost ship. What is the story behind that as I was writing? So, yeah.
Mm. Well,
It
tell us a little bit about Detective Braden, who is there to protect Cressida. Who is this man?
well, he is gosh, he's there on a secret. He's
Oh.
the chapter opens up and he's riding his motorcycle, and I don't know, I just had a lot of fun with him. He was actually a former DSS agent. Now see if I can get this right because I sometimes mess it up, but it's Department of Diplomatic Services, I believe. They protect
Oh.
State Department employees like VPs and important people, and
Mm.
that they work for the government, the State Department protecting. So he was a former DSS agent, and he is in Hidden Bay working undercover, basically for Cressida's mother. So there's a tangled mess, let's say. There's a lot of tangled secrets going on there.
Was it kind of a challenge to find the proper balance between this mystery and Cressida's life, and then bringing Braden in there to kind of bring it all together?
Well, I mean, yes and no. I think I think I had the challenge really comes in the when the characters first meet, getting them to have the right chemistry, the right rhythm, all of that. And so I feel like I was able to get that pretty quickly with them. And then everything else, just kind of fell in place. I feel like as far as I'm writing, I'm mostly because I really enjoyed writing the story. So other than the fact that I'm still trying to figure out what is the secret behind the ghost ship, the whole time I'm writing it, what is the secret? And trying to figure out who is Evelyn Monroe, if I can say her name. Who is she? What is she doing? So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I think Detective Braden was just about as heroic as any character I've written. I really loved him.
Aw. Now, in a lot of your stories, you have the weather, the setting of your story as
Yeah.
like a character involved too. But you also have an antagonist in Deadly Currents. Is this also a villain? He's described as revenge driven.
Yes. And we don't know who he is because, right, it's kind of a mystery intrigue.
Mm.
We also have some other people that are huge surprises that we think are villains that are not villains. So yeah, we have a
Mm.
lot of that. And I can't give anything away. I know we're
Sure.
supposed to give a little bit away, but if I do that, it just kind of blows the story for me. I'm the kind of person who I don't even want to read the back cover copy of a book. I don't know if you're like that. 'Cause I don't want to read that. I'm saying in my own reading life, you don't want to read the back cover copy because I don't want anything given away when I'm reading the story. So,
Sure. But is the weather part of this story as well, or at
oh,
least the setting of the story?
oh yes, all of my stories, that's going to
Mm.
be play just a huge role. In Hidden Bay Book 3, Deadly Currents, it's mostly kind of about the fog, a lot of it, because right, you've got the
Mm.
ghost ship in the fog. So there are a lot of scenes with the fog being really thick. In fact, the first opening scene, the fog is really thick. She's on the beach and then somebody tries to kill her, but nobody sees it because it's so thick. And marine fog, it can roll in and it can just be so thick and then dissipate by the afternoon. I have Evelyn Monroe lives in a mansion on a cliff top, and so and she can look out over the ocean and see the fog and see the waves crashing on the rocks. And so all of the setting, is just plays a huge important role in the story.
Nice. Well, you are expert level at using the setting of your story to add that mystery and intrigue and provide those obstacles for your protagonist, who's trying to solve
Yes,
something. So you're
right.
very good at that.
Thank
But
you.
also you have, Hidden Bay, as you said, attracts people who want to watch these storms. But so it could also be dangerous too. So how were you able to balance the town's dual nature of, this place where people want to come and see the weather and see the storm, but yet have safety? And yet it's also dangerous and it seems to be like a target because it has these antagonists going around there too.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, in Hidden Bay, for instance, I have the Pirate Bash, which is a fun thing on the beach where, people, it's like a carnival and families come and all this stuff. So, there's fun stuff. You just bring in fun stuff. And I think it's like that for us in real life, all around us. There's stuff going on, but we just don't know about it. We just live our lives and enjoy the sunshine and there's something going on behind the scene. So yeah, I think I balanced it okay. But I'm focused on my characters and the intrigue, and then they have to kind of go into the other settings. Like Cressida and Braden went to the Maritime Museum in town, and it was just gorgeous. And then I'm trying to think of the curator was there, and she showed him around, and she had to go leave early though because she was watching her grandkids that afternoon. So you just bring in everyday life stuff and the things that people enjoy. So all of that stuff is still happening around the characters, but the reader knows, hey, they're on a mission and hey, they're in danger. Doesn't mean everybody else has to know that.
That's true.
I don't know if I answered that question or not.
No, you did. Yeah, and that's true. That's 100% true. So, as Christian writers, we want to make sure we have those themes of hope in our stories, even though we're writing a murder mystery, suspense thriller. So, what are some of the themes you want readers to take away from Deadly Currents?
Well, I really focused in this one. I don't say I focused on it, but what the theme that kind of came out of it was just forgiveness, that we're supposed to forgive others and we don't forgive them because they deserve it or because they've changed or because they do something right. Whatever it is, we're just required to forgive. And so that was just a really big theme in the story because it is a story of about an estrangement between Cressida and her mother. There's other issues going on where other people need to forgive people who they feel have betrayed them. And so, it's just a story about forgiveness. And Evelyn Monroe really serves kind of as the voice of wisdom for Cressida in those matters. And so I don't really use scripture or do any of that. It's just the characters living out the truth, if that
Hmm.
makes sense. Living out the truth. And then the other thing is just that no matter what we're in, what we're enduring, that God is always with us. And so I want everyone, when they read my books, to always take that away, that God is always with us.
Oh, that's so sweet. And it's true. And we want our readers to have that sense of hope when they're done reading our stories. So that's
Right,
wonderful.
right.
Well, Deadly Currents, everyone, is out in the world. So go get your copy on Amazon. I know I'm going to get the audiobook because I love to listen to your stories while I'm out for my walks.
Oh,
And this
fun.
sounds like a great one. And especially because I love those ghost ship maritime stories. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Well, how can readers connect with you? Can they head to your website?
Oh, for sure. And they should do that pretty soon. It's elizabethgoddard.com because I have the crashing waves that are animated on there to represent the, excuse me, Hidden Bay series. But come May, the new series I'm going to have a new background there and it's going to be, I believe, animated or, live action or whatever it's called. It's going to be moving. How about that? Like the waves are crashing. For my new series that comes out in August. So, I'm really going to miss the waves on my website. But I look forward to what my designer comes up with. Yes. So go to the website. And if you subscribe, then you will get a free ebook download. And then in the top right hand corner are all the icons for all of my social media where you can connect with me.
Ooh, that's the best way to connect with Elizabeth Goddard. And also head to Amazon and follow her there, because whenever one of her new books releases, they let you know via email. And I love that about Amazon. I get these emails from authors and I'm thinking, oh, great, now I got to go purchase that book.
Yep, exactly. I do too. I love it.
So be sure and follow Elizabeth. And Elizabeth, this was so much fun. I can hardly wait for our next interview about your upcoming series. It sounds wonderful.
Thank you. I can't wait to be here. Thanks for having me on.
That was so fun to listen to Elizabeth Goddard talk about her newest book, Deadly Currents. Oh, it sounds amazing. And like I said, she's using the setting of her story to add to the intrigue and the mystery. And now with this ghost ship mystery, that sounds even better. So I'm definitely going to get the audiobook and listen to it as I go for my walks. And head over to elizabethgoddard.com to sign up for her newsletter. I hope that you've been encouraged by how Elizabeth writes, that even though she may start off in outlines, she still goes in the direction that, she has that intuition. She knows how the story should go. And you should too. Be confident in your plot ideas and your characters and let them speak to you. Let them lead you where the story should go. Your readers will appreciate that. And it isn't easy. Even Elizabeth Goddard, who has sold over 1 million copies of her books, that's right, she still struggles sometimes. So be encouraged by that. Stay the course, overcome those obstacles, try and write something every day, because like I always say, someone out there needs to read your story. And most of all, thank you for listening. Until next time, God bless.